I'm going to start by saying good morning and welcome everyone to another Medtech virtual event. Thank you so much for joining us for what I know is going to be an outstanding program. First of all, let me start off by saying I'm Rachel Robinson, Vice President of Medtech, and it's lovely to see so many of you again. If this is your first virtual program with us, you're absolutely in for a treat. And I have to say a huge thank you to Vision Elements for putting this together. Obviously, this is a topic that is top of mind, especially in the product development world and as we look at medtech development. So it's something I know is going to be very interesting for all of you. Just a few quick logistics reminders. Q&A option is in the bottom of your screen. We absolutely encourage questions. We'd love to make this as interactive as possible. So please feel free to type your questions into the Q&A. If you do have anything else during the session, any technical issues, feel free to shoot me a note on the chat. And otherwise, I am going to kick things over to Yaron, Millie, and Guy to get started.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Hi, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. In Boston here, it's a beautiful, beautiful weather outside. My name is Yaron Naor. I live here in Boston, and I'm responsible for Vision Elements business development activities in the US. Just before starting, again, thank you so much for joining, and thank you, Rachel, for giving us this platform to introduce ourselves and share a little bit about our experience and expertise. With your permission, I'm going to turn the video off right now, and then I'll ask Millie to start the presentation. And then again, if you have any questions, use the Q&A. The presentation will take less than 15 minutes, and then we'll have a dialogue and answer any questions. So let's wait for the tech to come in. Okay, thank you. Perfect. Thank you, Millie. Again, good morning. Other than working for Vision Elements, I'm also a mentor at the MIT VMS program. We have a massive program. We nurture and support over 300 startups. So it's a lot of fun as well. And here with me is Guy Lavie. He's Vision Elements founder and managing partner. He's based in Kfar Saba, Israel, and Millie is our VP of Marketing. We are really delighted to have this opportunity to introduce Vision Elements to you, to share our humble experience in successfully managing product development projects in the early stage, also known as feasibility or POC stage, which is often the most challenging and most critical stage in any development or improvement of a medical device. Our approach is based on the lean startup methodology, but we have given it our own spin. This presentation, like I said, will take less than 15 minutes, and we welcome questions and open dialogue thereafter. As for the agenda, I'll first introduce our company, the team, and tell you a bit about some of the exciting projects that we are working on. Then I'll outline the key points of the lean startup methodology. And finally, through a couple of case studies, Guy and I will share with you how we leverage this methodology with our own approach and business model to help our customers succeed. One of the case studies is with a company called Cathworks, and the other with a company called UC Care. We worked with these two companies for many years, and we believe they can demonstrate how the right approach can lead to a successful proof of concept and ultimately development of a new medical device. Let me just clarify that this approach applies whether you are part of a new startup or a very large corporation. We are a service company that provides tailor-made research and algorithm development services for computer vision, AI, machine, and deep learning, focusing, like I said, on the proof of feasibility stage. Our business model is monthly retainer, allowing our customers the flexibility to expedite or slow down product development based on budget availability, the expertise they may or may not have in-house, and other factors. We partner with our customers and become an extension of their development organization. All the IP that we develop belongs to them, including patents that we occasionally write. We also help our customers to scale their development team over time as the product evolves and the company matures. Our vast experience combined with universal code libraries and development tools that we developed over the years enable a rapid takeoff of any new project with minimal training and onboarding. We are based in Kfar Saba, Israel, and here in Boston. The entire team is seasoned and diverse, including scientists with advanced degrees in mathematics, physics, and engineering, who have been working closely together for over a decade. The management team, Guy, Adi, Asaf, and Hila, gained their experience both in the academia and in leading industry companies such as IBM, Applied Materials, Philips, and Rafael, which is an Israeli defense technology company. Here are some of our customers, and I'm sure that you can recognize some of them, especially Corindus and Philips that operate in this domain. We have been blessed to be working with some of the largest companies in the world and with many startups that just received their initial seed funding. Our customers operate in different verticals, all the way from developing drones, medical devices, which is our focus today, consumer apps, automotive, defense, and more. We are also a new member at the NVIDIA Inception program and look forward to work closely with them and with their customers. Here is a quick sample of projects in other areas. They are relevant because the computer vision/AI requirements are often similar and transferable from one industry to another. There are many more examples and videos on our website. The project on the left is an e-commerce and live fashion store where we enable smart lead detection capabilities. It means that their clients can receive a large amount of data on their clothes at any moment while in the store. The store can make changes on the fly, for example, sales discounts, and they are automatically reflected in the application. Another example in the middle is the gesture recognition. We created a multi-core vision processor that enables the identification of the fingers and the palm. From a computer vision point of view, the task isn't trivial, as it required us to overcome the similarities between the head and the hand, making sure that the hand is recognized and tracked correctly. And finally, on the right is an example of a visual system which is located on a drone, allowing detection and tracking of an object of choice. This project was done for leisure purposes, but it's also applicable for defense and security applications. The lean startup methodology is not new, and many product companies implement it in their own way. However, the feasibility or proof of concept stage is different and more challenging. In a more mature product development stage, you manage a product roadmap, usually for the next 6 to 12 months, couple of major releases planned each year, maintenance releases perhaps 3 or 4 times per year, customer user forms and annual budgets are in place to work with. In the feasibility stage, the uncertainty is tenfold, while budgets fluctuate based on funding events and customers' feedback. Should this product be developed at all? Can we develop it? Can we compete? Can we turn this prototype into a scalable business and a scalable product and profitable business? What features will be required initially by the early adopters? How can we create an organizational memory to maximize learning and streamline the organization? These are all tough questions that require a team approach and a well-organized process with clear milestones and KPIs. It is also imperative to have the right technical expertise and flexibility to allocate the right number of resources to support the company's funding milestones. As I mentioned, Guy has been deeply involved with CutWorks, so I'll ask him to tell us a bit more about his company and project. Guy, the floor is yours.
Sure. Thank you, Yaron. So CutWorks is in the interventional cardiology space. It has developed an intra-procedural image-based device that derives the physiology information for real-time decision-making in the catheterization laboratory. It's a late-stage startup selling to cath labs in the US, Europe, and Japan. When a patient comes into the cath lab for a minimally invasive diagnosis and potential treatment, 2D X-ray videos demonstrate the anatomical status of the coronary arteries supplying oxygen to the heart. A narrowing in those 2 to 3 millimeter vessels may obstruct the flow of blood. In order to rate each narrowing based on its actual obstruction to blood flow, an analysis of flow resistance is required. The CathWorks algorithm is a unique breakthrough. It takes several 2D videos and generates a 3D physiology model, providing a holistic perspective on the severity of disease in the coronary arteries. Go ahead, Yaron, and play the video while I'm continuing.
Mili, can you play the video?
It combines state-of-the-art temporal 2D deep learning algorithms with highly challenged 3D reconstruction methods, as you'll be able to appreciate in the video in a second. Flow resistance simulation running in seconds has been validated already on thousands of live cases. So what you can see here is the reconstruction of the 3D model while the heart is moving, while the patient is breathing, and the table that the patient is on is also moving between shots. So this is pretty challenging, and the color coding represents the physiology indices, rating each narrowing for the physician to make that decision in real time. The core algorithms have been completely developed by Vision Elements, from sketches to operational code. Vision Elements contributed also to drafting many of the patents in the CathWorks portfolio. And over the years, CathWorks benefited from the flexibility that is needed in a long-term research-savvy project. That happened while getting the most cutting-edge algorithms to enable its flagship product. The second example we want to present is a company called UC Care. UC Care is operating in the prostate biopsy space. It developed an intraprocedural device that turns 2D ultrasound slices available for the purpose of guiding the biopsy into a 3D map of the prostate, enabling improved navigation. Mili, I think you can play the video here as well.
Sure.
When you fuse those ultrasound slices with a pre-op MRI scan, the information needed for a guided biopsy is even enhanced. Here again, Vision Elements developed UC Care's core algorithms from its early days and up to released and cleared product. Code included model-based and free-form surfacing of the prostate, as you can see now in the video. It also included differential correction of patient movement during the procedure through a 6 degrees of freedom sensor attached to the back of the patient. Fusion algorithms allow for non-rigid registration between the modalities, compensating for shape deformations that often occur during the biopsy. UC Care is also a stage company. Strong collaboration with Vision Elements started early in the proof of concept stage. Algorithms have been optimized for product level and FDA clearance. And Vision Elements worked closely with the UC Care team through the ongoing development of new features and later releases.
Thank you, Guy. These projects are fascinating and exciting. And like I said before, we have many more examples on our website if you're interested to see what Vision Elements has been doing over the last couple of years. To summarize, we can clearly see that the feasibility stage is challenging in multiple dimensions. Yet, it can be extremely rewarding if managed properly. Having the right development team, being tentative, and providing and sharing knowledge is probably the most important success criteria. Having the ability to quickly turn on, slow down, or put the brake on the development process based on funding and KPIs is also crucial. Vision Elements helped dozens of companies to overcome these challenges, and we will be delighted to explore potential collaboration with each of you. Thank you again for your time today, and thank you, Rachel, again, and the MassMedic organization for giving us this platform to introduce ourselves. In the remaining few minutes, we are happy to answer any question. And of course, you are invited and welcome to contact me anytime to schedule separate meetings in another time. And I'm going to turn my video on again. And
Yaron, I absolutely have a question to get things started. I think the first question that comes to mind for me is what is the riskiest part of the product feasibility stage, right? What are the things that you absolutely have to get right during this phase? And what are the things that maybe can be pushed off to later discovery?
Guy, do you want to take that?
Sure. So you always postpone what you can, Rachel, because it's a critical stage where you only need to focus on the MVP. And the risk is very high, so you depend on the success of that stage to keep the development going. I hope that answers your question.
So push everything, and it's all risky.
You always do the very minimum, always do the very minimum at that stage, and you need to keep that flexibility that Yaron mentioned, because sometimes whether the proof of concept is successful or less successful, you need to make changes to your plan, and then you need to keep that budget in control.
Absolutely. So I have one more follow-up question. As you deal to, I believe, with investors, obviously you guys are working at a very early stage with some companies, seed stage. What are those really interesting things that you think are important to prove out and show during the investment journey, right? Because if you're successful at your MVP, you've got the opportunity to go on and raise some funding. Are there any things that kind of jump out as, here are the things you really should be doing?
Especially the features in the product that will lower the technology risk moving forward, right? So proof of concept is exactly what it says. So you need to ensure that the technology, that the core technology works. Other than that, you can wrap that with many, features required along the road.
Maybe just to add to that, and we've been working with many different startups, and by the way, not only through the feasibility stage, we are supporting them, some of them for years, during also more mature stages. But in the beginning, every funding event leads to the next, right? CastWorks is now in round D. So you want to make sure you never have enough money, you never have enough resources, yet you have certain amount of deliverables that you need to put out there to convince either your early adopters, your first customers, your investors, maybe new investors, that you have something that is worth investing their time and money, right? So that's why it's so important to really focus on the right amount of resources, develop the right features that are absolutely must have in the beginning, and maybe not focus on things that are nice to have later on. And just have a very well kind of defined and very, very, very well organized process, because otherwise you'll end up either finishing your funding before you actually hit the milestone that will allow you to get the additional funding. And that's the biggest risk that you may have in the early stages of any company.
Thank
and
you.
if I may add to that, in projects where you need to go through a clinical trial, it's very critical that the core algorithms will work in such a way that you won't need to change them afterwards, because that's too expensive and can be critical.
Rachel, I can see another question here in the Q&A. Thanks for the presentation. I have a question specifically for AI data. Is critical important for visibility? Should the client provide, or would you be able to source the data? That's a question for Guy.
So normally we don't source the data. We depend on the customer on our customer to collect the data, but we can help with any databases that are publicly available, and we have the experience of working with. So.
Great. Any other questions? Q&A is open.
That means that we were very clear, I guess.
That means you did a great job. Well, then I will say, thank you for putting this together. Oh, wait, we do have a hand raised. I see someone raising their hand in the audience. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can, it might be easier to pop your questions. Oh, they're coming in the Q&A. So of course we've got a couple more.
We have a few of them.
Do you want me to read them? There is a question here. Thanks for the interesting talk. I have a strong university research background and only very little expertise on the business side. My question is, when do you think is a good point to implement a working prototype to a business model? Guy, do you want to take that?
Sure. So it depends on the importance or the level of the risk of both the business model and the technology. And investors would most probably want to see those risks getting lower as much as possible. So sometimes you need to prove both, to get to the next fundable milestone, and sometimes you need to focus first on the technology and the business would come after. Rarely you would need to solve in our space, you need to solve the business model before you prove the technology can really do the job.
Okay. Thank you, Guy. There is another question here that I think I can answer. What is the overhead to start a project with you? Or what is the smallest task worth starting? I'm looking to get an idea. If it's worth to start a project of camera calibration. So the answer is that there is very little overhead to start with us, almost none at all. Our retainer business model is very flexible. You can start with all the way from, one equivalent of one full-time employee or even less than that, and maybe one or a couple of months of POC, just to get to know each other, to see whether it's a good fit, to see whether we can really help and bring value. And then we can go from there. And like I said, many of our customers started with a 1 month POC, and we are still working with them 7 or 8 years later. So it's all possible, and there is, like I said, very little overhead. And we welcome a discussion after this call. If you want to take it one-on-one, we'll be happy to take a deeper look. Then there is another question: how are you incorporating market requirements in this phase? In other words, proof of concept is more than the technical elements of the device itself. Guy, this is for you also.
Yeah, so this is for the project team to handle. So we're not handling the market requirements. We're getting the requirements from the core technology from you as a customer.
And one other thing worth mentioning, one of the key, I would say, value propositions of Vision Elements is that what we call the team approach. So because we have on the team mathematicians, physicians, algorithm developers, any project that we get, even if it's just for one person or half a person, the entire team is involved. And remember, that's a very important key in the lean startup methodology. You want to have all the disciplines that are required to put together the prototype or the initial business model. And with our team approach, you basically are able to have access to all the disciplines that you may need in a computer vision, AI, deep learning project, while only, allocating budget for half a person.
Fantastic. Okay, well, I think we are actually just right up against time, so that's perfect. We just finished all the questions. So let me say thank you, Guy and Yaron, for a wonderful presentation. Thank you in the audience for sticking with us for 30 minutes. I would highly recommend you reach out to the folks at Vision Elements if you have further questions. And we will absolutely be sending out a recording of this presentation as well, so you can review some of the slides and have the contact information. So thank you both, and everyone have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.